quorum. See anyone else shows up. All right, I'd like to call the Planning Commission meeting to order for the date of February 13th, 2019.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so as far as roll call goes, Janet Prentice is excused, she's sick. Blake isn't here yet, he might still show up, I don't know. But Cynthia Browning here.
Gwen Jorgensen here.
Forrest Keeney here.
All right. So the first thing on the agenda is the hearing on zone change from OST to residential 5 for AV 1377C. And the parcel number for these lots has changed to AVHWC1 and AVHWC2. This is the Holt LeBaron property that was zone changed a couple times and finally got a lot split. So this is the hearing for making it residential. So any questions or concerns about this zone change?
We are doing both walls.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought, but something confused me.
Yeah, Rich Top 1193 East Big Canyon. Would there be a way to show it on the monitor so we can see the actual lots?
Maybe on the map.
Well, yeah,
Did
you
you
want
have
to borrow
it
my
shown
map?
on that thing?
Let me just take a look at it. If I could.
With
Yes.
this?
This is Mill Subdivision.
Can show
You know
it.
where that is? Here's 59.
Okay. Where's
Problem Road Road.
where you come on?
Yeah, it's something, I don't know, I think it's this one. Oh, no, it's over here. Where's Bubbling Wells? Is there another? I need the bigger map to tell where Bubbling Wells is. I think it's over here.
This comes over here. and down
Oh,
here
so
is Bubbling Wells.
200 is, oh, so France is.
So, yeah, Frank's.
Yeah, Frank's
Okay,
over here.
all right.
You go this way and you get up to France. So when you go up to Bubbling Wells,
yeah,
and you turn right.
Yeah.
Then you turn left to Frank's, that's where the property is.
Oh, I
It's
see.
right here.
Oh, is that where the dirt road is? Oh, I see, I see, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about this zone change?
The owner's not here, are they?
Nope.
Yep. I have a question for them, but it's not that important.
All right, well, if there are no other questions or comments, I move that we close the hearing for the zone change for parcel numbers AVHWC1 and AVHWC2, previously known as AV 1377C, from OST to residential 5 acres.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
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 All right. And so now we get to decide what we want to do action-wise. Is everyone cool with this? Everything seems fine?
About the zone change, I'm happy.
Okay, yeah. All right. So I move that we forward the zone change to the town council for approval, for changing it from OST to residential 5. Again, for previously AV 1377C, currently AV HWC1 and AV HWC2.
Second.
Second, okay, vote.
Aye.
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 All right. handled with the town council technically. So for item C, the lot split for parcel AB 1334J, which just basically separates the Little Creek Station and the RV park. And we do have the affidavit from the property owner for this zone change, or this lot split rather.
Is it still Little Creek?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Very good.
So, what do we think about that? Because we don't have to have a hearing for it, we can just decide whether we wanna,
I'm good with that.
okay?
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we'll end up motioning what, to forward it with our recommendation.
Well, what exactly are we forwarding? I'm not sure.
Approval of the lot split,
Oh,
if that's what we wanna do? Or do we have to recommend? Or is it just something that the town, okay?
Yeah, you're just gonna recommend that we approve the lot split. And we're doing the lot split just to separate the station from the RV park. And that's for lending purposes. When you go to build the RV park, you wanna borrow some money, you gotta have a legal description as to the lot. Otherwise, it encumbers the station as well, and so they're just separating those out. So that's the purpose of it.
That's kind of what we've been talking, that they were gonna be doing.
We tried talking him into doing this to begin with, and he,
Yeah.
so he ends up saying, oh yeah, maybe you guys are right, so.
Yeah.
We're just doing what Sean recommended we do all along, was
Go figure.
separate it out, so you have two different businesses with two different, financials and, that's all.
Question I have is, since it's a subdivision, doesn't it need what is access?
Well, as far as access goes, well, without seeing an aerial on this, I'm not sure where the entrance is going in on this, but you could ask for a cross-access agreement when the other parcel comes in to develop at that time. Right now, we'd be approving the lot split, and whoever, it's the same owner, apparently, right?
Yeah.
But whoever gets that they'll have to have either some type of easement across there to develop it, or,
To get a
Alright,
building permit, they would have to have a cross-access.
That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at is.
yeah. So when they come in, you could do it that way, or you could pass it along with a recommendation to the town council that there be an easement recorded on this lot split to access the back parcel, and then when they come in to develop, they can move that easement wherever they want. That makes sense for them, which is probably the best thing to do. That way you have some kind of protection that there is a way to access that back parcel. No reason not to,
Well,
to wait.
Really just a cross, access agreement.
You could do that too, that's still an easement.
Because it's,
And
that's how I would call it, as a cross-access agreement with the owners. So that way, if he ever sold the station and blown it in the wrong, we have access through the parking lots, because like he said before, it's like Target and, Lowe's and those kind
All
of,
share.
they all share the parking lot, and they all allow access back and forth, and that's what we're gonna ask for, the cross-access agreement. So that way, we don't have to have an additional access on to the highway, because UDOT doesn't want another access other than what we already
Exactly.
have.
Right.
And that was part of my concern.
Yeah, so we'll be doing it that way.
so you can make that recommendation as if you recommend approval for this.
And we're gonna require it anyway as well, as town council, so. For part of the construction and the hoops we make him jump through, that will be part of the hoops we make him jump through anyway.
But that'd be after,
I'm sorry. I didn't-
that would be after a sale. I guess this is all leading towards the sale.
Well, no,
It's not?
I think what the mayor's saying, what we want to do is just simply say, with your approval, that one of the conditions is that they do a cross-access agreement, and then the town will approve it that way, just on the off chance, that they don't develop it, they sell it or whatever, you know that there's a way for someone to access that property. And they'll agree to that, I'm sure.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not to do with the sale though, it's just to do with lending, you know, when you go get over. This is how this next one we're gonna talk about was him going out and getting some money, created an illegal lot out there on the next one we're gonna talk about. And that's what can happen here is if he goes and gets a loan on this based on our zoning, remember how we zoned this RV park based on a description? If we got a loan based on that description, it would create an illegal lot, and that's what we're just trying to fix up front before that happens again. So, it's a loan thing.
And the title report should show that there's no access. So.
Well, if you get a cross-access agreement, which is an
Then
easement,
there
they'll
is
record it, yeah.
It'll
That
be
it's by
recorded.
private act, or easement.
Right.
Right. Okay. Anything else then, or should we do anything?
The books say that the sewer, let me just find my notes here. Water and sewer have to be approved. We know anything about that?
But there's no construction drawings in here for the water and sewer right now, it's just simply a lot split, so that
Yeah,
would be.
but that's what I'm saying, for subdivision, it has to be approved, doesn't it? At least
No.
our books say it does.
This is just a split of their lot split, so you would be fine in splitting this lot,
So
We'll jump through that hoop through
Right.
construction and engineering and all that.
Their cross-access, and I probably should expand that one, generally when you do one of those in this situation, it's for access, utilities, all of that. They have a way to get across so they can get their stormwater over and connect and all of that, so.
So you and others have said lot split, so what is the difference between a lot split and a subdivision? I got them, it's the same thing in my mind.
I know, it gets confusing. In fact, we're rewriting the law right now at the state level. Been working on that all day. I got a copy of it right here. But
I'm glad you're here.
But
I need to know, I'm not
the
quite.
law allows for lot splits where you're just taking a larger parcel and splitting it two with the approval of the local entity, of course, to make sure that it meets all of their.
That's what I'm saying, is because our books say water and sewer are part of the local entity and they have
Right.
to approve it.
And then some cities, like, they'll have a minor subdivision where it might be 3 lots or less.
I understand.
And then they don't have to go through all of the processes that a regular subdivision have to go through. And then those that have more, you have them submit the plats and go through that process.
Right.
So here, where they're just dividing their property up, you're allowed to do that.
So if our subdivision ordinance disagrees with what you're saying, who am I supposed to believe here?
Our latest iteration of the subdivision ordinance, though, does allow to divide a parcel into up to 3
Right.
lots.
Right.
Without a plat, yeah.
Without a, yeah.
Totally agree.
So, when you talk about the water and sewer requirements, it would be impossible for someone who has a 5-acre lot to split it into 2 lots if they have no construction plans at that time. They simply say, you know what, this is zoned for 2.5 acres, I only want 2.5 acres, I'm gonna sell off the other one. We wouldn't go to them and say, we need you to come in with plans now on how you're gonna hook up with sewer and water and all that for that vacant lot there.
We do that when they want to build on it.
That's
Then we
right.
say, well, you gotta bring in sewer and water and electric and whatever.
And that makes
That's
sense.
Same.
We need to change our ordinance, that's not what it says.
Why don't you, give me a copy of what that ordinance is. In fact, you guys are the planning commission, we'll put it on the agenda. And let's edit it.
Yeah, it says the creation of a lot under subsection A, which is what you're talking about, shall not be approved until a plan for providing utilities and other required improvements. Proposed law has been reviewed and signed by members of the Joint Utility Committee. So,
Which we don't have.
right, I
Joint
understand we don't
Utility
have
Committee.
it,
Anyway.
You could make a recommendation with the condition for the cross-access and utility easement. And also that you're recommending that they show how they will access utilities to the town council. And they can simply say, here's the points, this is where, and we can look at it and say, yeah,
that's all
that's
this
good.
is really saying.
Yeah.
Just saying that, just
Yeah,
so you just.
but between that time and time it goes to the council, they can be verified.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
put it in my brain.
So,
You bring it up more.
You get elected. Oh, okay, well, yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing
Okay. I make a motion that we send this lot split for parcel AB 1334J on to the town council for approval with the cross access
And utility.
utility easement and plan for utilities, point of access.
Sounds good.
I second. Vote.
here. Aye.
Aye. All right. And then the last item for discussion is, the after the fact lot split, for the creation of parcel AV 1327B that was taken off from the larger parcel of AV 1327. That's the little cabin area over off of Main Street. That basically, they went in and got, it called something else and didn't go through
Just got a
the,
partner or something on it, yeah.
Did you what? Sorry, I forgot to strip. What was that?
the lot split for the cabins off of Travis's property.
Mhm.
That was already recorded,
Right,
but didn't ever go through us originally.
right.
And so, because a new owner got put on it or something, right?
You just, I didn't realize it, but you go and down, just record a deed, you know, like for a loan, it creates a lot. Because they'll go and record anything, it's a deed, and then they have that description, the county just goes and records it, which creates the lot, which is not his intent to create a lot as much as take a loan out on this piece of property to build his cabins, you know, and, anyway, that's kinda how it happened.
You said you were talking to other municipalities.
Yeah, I talked to Hurricane and we had, they call them lender lots. And what happens on a lender lot is they'll, you know, take, for example, you know, he's got how many 1,000 acres out there. And let's say, for example, this piece was not on the road, it's back in the back corner somewhere where you don't have a road touching it. They call them lender lots, and they would take out a loan on that, and because they're trying to put in the roads and do those kind of things, and then they go to the town for permitting and then find out you don't have access, this is an illegal subdivision. They wouldn't let them go forward with it because it's an illegal lot and they don't have access to it, so they can't subdivide it. And so they're stuck because of this loan that's on this piece that is landlocked. And so in some cases, they just say, you gotta fix it. We can't even approve this until you have at least the right-of-way access. This one he's safe on because it's on Main Street. So if he was doing this and was in the back, he'd be, you know, he'd have a problem. But anyway, the Hurricane was saying they run across these all the time, where someone goes out on a big piece, they're gonna develop this part, they get a loan on that part, and then all of a sudden, on accident, they did a subdivision not realizing it, so. And they says whenever possible, they just, you know, approve them because, you know, it's, you know, pulling off a piece in most cases is okay to do it. They just didn't do it the right way, so. You wanna share something?
It really came to light during the downturn because you had a lot of mortgage companies foreclosing, and you'd find out that the back 5 feet of the lot was something they had recorded with as a property exchange with the neighbors. They wanted to build a bigger pool or whatever it may be, and the county recorded it without our approval. And now you got a problem because you have a no man's land in between. Not to mention that the other lot owners, mortgage company probably did not approve them doing that. Another thing we're taking care of in here, hopefully, is saying that the that those cannot be recorded unless they've been signed off by the land use authority from the jurisdiction where the property is located.
So we're trying to close that loophole.
We're trying to with the
Yeah.
county recorders, because right now they'll say, hey, we have to record anything that comes to us. And so we just go ahead and record it. We don't look to see whether or not it's been approved, but they'll look at 10 other things, because we get ours returned all the time. And so we're saying, how about just looking at the most important thing, and that is that it was approved by the town or city or county that it's located in.
That's a legal lot or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we're just making it an official lot split
Yeah.
is what we're doing. And before they would go and build on anything, they'd still have to make sure everything was.
Yeah, like right now, if he came to me and wanted a permit, I'd have to say no, because it's not a legal lot.
Right.
And so we wouldn't let him do it unless we did this. Even though he might have a loan already, it's like, tough luck, because then you don't have a legal lot. And so that's the process we're going through right now, is just to fix what happened. It wasn't egregious, it wasn't, meant to do harm, it was just him bringing in a partner on that cabin project and recording deeds, so he has an interest in it, and now all of a sudden, we have a problem, so.
Does the partner need to know about all this process that we're going through tonight?
The partner, no. I don't see why, because technically it was the person that subdivided. We would go back to them and say,
Right.
put it back.
Right.
And they'd have to then deal civilly with whoever their partner was or sold the property to or whatever. So I think you're perfectly fine in moving forward with the recommendation on this.
I guess part of my question was, wouldn't they have to fill out some sort of application or affidavit or
Well,
something?
it seems, well,
I mean, they are.
this is what we would be doing. We'd be going to you and saying, Forrest, do you want us to create a legal lot where you have an interest, or would you rather we force it back into the ownership of Travis, who now will own your property, and then you'll just have to deal with him
Right.
on how you get your money back,
Okay.
And in my 16 years, I've never had anybody come to me and say, I wish you hadn't legalized my lot, because I'm unhappy about that. I think it's something to do.
Well,
That was no brainer.
I guess part of my question was, do they know it's not an approved lot at this point?
I'm not sure it matters.
Actually, they probably, let's say they don't, let's say that it's a situation where you just say, I want an interest in your property. So you need to give me 2 acres of your property. And you do that for me. Now you've made that 2 acres more valuable, because technically it's the same parcel. Now I have a separate lot that I could go out and sell. So it's actually, I would argue, improving the value of this property. But,
I just don't like doing things and finding out later that somebody didn't know what was going on.
yeah, we don't usually get people to say, don't make me legal.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I do have a question. Do they not need to dedicate, part of their property to the roads here?
I'm not sure what the legal description is on this, if it's outside of the roadway right-of-way or not.
Well, we'll handle that when we're doing the construction and engineering. At that point, we'll be identifying that. Because at that point, when they're pulling the paperwork for actually building, then we have to look at all that. And that's where Mike Versamak will hand it all over to him, and he'll be reviewing that for center line,
Well, I just-
road and back, and do we need any more dedicated? And
I just understood that if you are wanting to dedicate a road, you have to do it at the time of the subdivision, but maybe I'm.
we're not doing a subdivision. I mean, technically, it's.
People keep saying this isn't a subdivision. I don't
It's-
know
it's a
how
lot
you
split.
come up with that. Well, it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Well, to you it is, but to us, when we're going to go and require, or when we get the construction drawings, then we give that all to Mike to go over to make sure that we have all of those setbacks proper. That if it requires an additional dedication, that we get that additional dedication. But I don't know how wide that corridor is that Main Street has already
66
dedicated.
feet, I believe.
So we have to determine, is that wide enough? based on what our future,
I guess what I'm
Needs
saying
that
is
road on
it's 66 feet, but they haven't dedicated any of their land to that, so that's pretty scary to me.
They're not gonna be able to pull a building permit without dedicating the property for the roadway.
if they need to.
They need to, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm not knowing where that line is, yeah.
Absolutely. But,
So it's just making the lot split official, but
This is
before
kinda
they
like-
can build or do anything.
let's go back to Holt LeBaron for a minute.
Yeah.
We've been working on that for how many months, 11 months now? And so for them to get a building permit, which they still don't have, they had to come up with a plat that showed that dedication, and that's been recorded.
And
And that's my point, is that you have that dedication now happening, and they still don't have a permit
You
yet.
just
That's what we'll
made-
be doing
You
with
just
this
made
guy.
my point. Holt LeBaron had to do a plat to dedicate a road. Travis doesn't have to do a plat.
They
to
didn't
dedicate
have
a road.
to,
I'm sure I get
they did
that.
not have to do that for lot split. We could do lot split without the dedication. They did the dedication so, because they know they were gonna need a permit, and they knew we were gonna ask for it. It had nothing to do with them getting a lot split to do that dedication. It has to do with building. It has to do with the permitting process
You can dedicate that roadway by deed
at any time.
if they need to, yeah.
And that's when we have to determine how big does Main Street have to be. We'll have to research that, based on, talk to the county or something, see how wide does that need to be based on their vision of it. And it could be that 66 is all we need and no dedication is required. That's a pretty wide road.
So the whole point is that lot split or no, before they go any further,
Mhm.
they have to make all these things up to code, whatever they need to do.
That we have our expert, Mike Tosmack, looking at it, so he can catch all of that, based on,
We have him, so we don't have to worry about all the little
Exactly.
nitpicky things anymore.
yeah, we're trying to make it harder than it is.
Well, run it by me one more time why it's lot split, not a subdivision. I think I get it, but maybe.
Under the law, it allows you to split a lot. You don't have to go, the whole idea is, there are a lot of people, and we're trying to make it even easier now and clearer with the surveyors, et cetera, is this, and that is, you have this 5-acre piece of property, and you're saying, you're really gonna make me go out and hire an engineer and go through all of this to create a plat, when all I wanna do is split the lot so that my mother-in-law can move in next door and we can take care of her. And so the law allows you to be able to do lot splits to take care of those types of circumstances without having to put someone through all of those hoops that we normally would, and
In other words, an exemption, that's what the state says is an exemption.
it's actually called a lot split, so you're just allowed to do.
Where can I read
And
this?
You can, I mean, I could, this is actually 90 pages, I just put them 2 to a page back to back, so I could go through it tonight, but I can point out to you afterwards, be glad to sit down with you sometime and go through this, but I can tell you this, I could go through the current law, but if you went through and saw all the red lines we're doing on this one, we're making a ton of change, look at all the changes just on that one page
It
alone.
does look like.
So, to
So is
clarify
this based
this.
on the state code or?
Yes. And
Okay.
each municipality can do their own ordinance, so you could say, we're not in, for us, this is how you split a lot.
Well,
But,
that's what I was reading to you, is there's
And a
some
subdivision,
requirements.
a subdivision where we're having multiple lots and, streets, and we're creating, actually a community.
Versus just a simple lot split.
Right.
if you had a situation here where there were curb gutters and sidewalks and the road was all the way approved until you got to these 2 lots, I could see definitely saying, no, when you do the split here now, you gotta dedicate that now so that we don't, because we may wanna get it done. If you never build on it, we may wanna go in there and just finish it for the safety of the kids, whatever it may be. This does not seem to be one of those cases.
So any other questions or concerns? All right, so I move that we forward to the town council for approval the lot split, creating the new parcel AV 1327B from the original parcel AV 1327.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Aye?
So I just want to clarify for you, Forrest, that, you know, typically we review we call these lot splits when we meet with the attorneys and do all this, we talk lot splits, it's called a lot line adjustment in the code, same thing, just moving the boundary of the lot. Creating a boundary.
I did just have a thought I should have had earlier, I suppose. We just fixed AB 1327-B. Is there some reason we don't need to fix AB 1327? That's a new law? No, I guess we probably couldn't do it tonight, but why does that not need this same discussion?
All right.
1327 was the original.
Yeah,
So the parent.
The
Okay.
B is the one we just pulled
Okay.
off, so I think that's redundant.
Right,
conversation.
that's what you're saying, is you're
You're
splitting
splitting it off
right.
from that.
Right, yep.
We did them both at the same time,
Mhm.
basically. We said 1327, we're gonna take this piece off, so that
Right.
does them both. at the
You're
same
approving
time.
the creation of this one, the
Okay.
creation of this one.
So we're ignoring that it was all done 2 months ago and,
Yeah,
okay,
we're making it official now, so.
yeah.
Making a legal law.
Yes. All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for last few. We have November 28th, December 12th, and January 9th. So, can you go through those, or?
Yeah, give me a minute, I really
Okay.
want to not look at it. It's too long ago for me to remember, sorry.
I wasn't sure if I enabled those two, or was I just missed?
Oh, what was it, January 9th?
Yeah, I looked at the other two, and I didn't see any problems, but.
Okay, so it does show that you voted January
Oh, I'm on the phone.
Okay. And then,
We approved the minutes.
okay, so you're here and here, so it was just on the approval of the minutes.
Yeah.
And to adjourn?
Yeah.
Oh. Right.
Are you talking about item D?
D?
Yeah, January 9th, for the approval of minutes for November. I think that where it says cease, it should say your name, because he wasn't there that night.
I was on the phone.
You were on the phone, but Blake was not here.
Oh, and so
I
I
think
don't get
that-
to write her in, we just need to cross off.
Yeah, we just need to
Oh.
change the name there.
Take off C's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Cool, okay. That was the only thing I saw in any of the minutes.
Okay, so, okay.
Move, say move.
You haven't made one yet. I think it's your turn.
Try to get them all back up. I move we approve the minutes for the planning commission for November 20, we're gonna do them all at once.
That's okay, right?
November 28th, 2018. Approve the planning commission meeting minutes for December 12th, 2019. It says 2019.
Oh, 2018.
2018, well, I guess that's just on that page, doesn't matter. It does say 2018 on here. And also approve the meeting minutes for January 9th, 2019.
Second. Vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, who wants to take the best motion of all?
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Go.
39
Go.
minutes.
Go
It didn't seem like that long, really.
Yep, you
It's
did it
so
quick.
much
Cindy.
fun.
Better,
Lying.
yeah.
You forgot all about
I'm
it.
gonna go and stock up on those.
I agree with
So
you.
what are they called?
Yeah, we
It's
are.
just-
Not.
Oh, yes,
They're
This agreement.
Tylenol,
You go?
tension.
Oh.
Send it to you.
Oh,
Yes,
I
I
Jerry,
have one
jeez.
free, so-